Hello, everybody.
All
Hey,
right.
Mayor.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. This is the January 9th, 2023 Real Estate Committee meeting, the first Real Estate Committee meeting of 2023. It's about 3:30, and we'll go ahead and get started with Councilman Shade's invocation. Take it away.
I gotta click on two buttons. All right. So, Almighty God and Father, look upon us, your unworthy servants. Lead us in this new year for a new beginning of our work as members of your greater community. Guide us and protect us, and that we all may be doing the will of the city of Charleston. Amen.
Amen.
Right. Thank you, Councilman Shade. Okay. First up
Move for
is
approval.
moved and properly seconded. This is an authorization for the mayor to execute some covenant.
That was approval of
Minutes.
Oh,
The
my
minutes.
bad. I'm jumping the gun here. Okay. Motion and a second to approve the minutes. It's on the floor. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Minutes are approved. First item up is authorization for the mayor to execute some covenants regarding Fort Pemberton. I see Ms. Copeland and Ms. Creech are together.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to have their work cut out for them today.
Indeed. Good afternoon. So this is in connection with the grant funds. One of the requirements is that we have some deed restrictions on the property, which provide for the Secretary of the Interior to have any approval authority over any change in use from outdoor recreational uses for the public, including any transfer or future sale of the property. And so that language that's in the restrictive covenant was directly provided by them. And that's the only covenant that we're asking to impose upon the property.
Good deal. Thank you very much for that. Any questions of staff?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I presume that there's no reverter clause in here.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is just, I think, the federal government in exchange for giving us money wants to make sure that we're using this as a park.
Yes.
Good deal. All right. Do I
Move for approval.
moved and properly seconded? Any discussion? Mr. Mayor.
And I would just share, Mr. Chairman and council members, that we have a similar agreement with the county, given the fact that we used Greenbelt funds to purchase the property. So it's going to be a park.
Good deal. That's great news. And Fort Pemberton is in my district over in Riverland Terrace, and very excited about this park. It's providing public access to the water, specifically the Stono River. Very, very important project. All right. We've got a motion moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Moving on to item B, this is an authorization for the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed regarding some property over in Maryville, owned by Bubsy LLC. Ms. Copeland and Ms. Creech, take it away.
Okay, so you all should have gotten a memo earlier, actually on Friday, about this particular piece. The address itself is 822 Fifth Avenue. This is Fifth Avenue right here in West Ashley. The house sits right here. The owner, Bubsy LLC, owns this piece of property. The property we're talking about today is outlined in blue. This is lot 136. And as you can see right here in this picture, this is the West Ashley bikeway that runs back through here. So what happened back in the day was when the rail line closed up the rail, they deeded this property to the state. The state then in turn deeded a portion of this property to the city to maintain it as a bikeway. And the process of these deed transfers, and we're not really sure when this may have happened, probably the 80s or the 90s, only a portion of this property was deeded to the city. And I would say it runs kind of across this way. This triangle piece right here, the city is actually in the chain of title. or that piece of property is in the city's chain of title. This remaining portion back here, the city is not legally in the chain of title. In fact, it's been passed down through several other families. So right now, presently, there's going to need to be a quiet title action on this piece of property between the Mazik family and the current owner in order to quiet the title on that. What the owner is asking for the city to do is quit claim any legal rights or interests they may potentially have in this back piece. And the position right now, we actually retained Kevin Everly to do some background title search on this as well to verify the position that Bubsy LLC is taking. And he has in turn verified that the city has no legal claim through the chain of title to this back piece right here. The only way we could do that is actually to take the state to court and potentially claim adverse possession against the state, which I don't think there's been any court in this state that's ruled on something like this. But if you look right here, one of the exhibits I also attached with the memo shows, here's the lot with the house sitting on it, and here's the back lot in question. And it's the blue piece that they're talking about. The yellow is definitely within the chain of title for the city. And then if you look here, this is a plat showing the property, okay? So there's the house, there's Fifth Avenue. As you can see, the line right here, this yellow line, a portion of the house, the driveway, some of the fence is sitting in this property we're talking about. Here's an actual photo of it. So I would say maybe a quarter of this building, the driveway, there's a fence in the backyard here. This is all and has historically since the 70s been sitting on this property. So we are advocating that the city does adopt and authorizes the mayor to sign a quitclaim to deed over any legal claim or interest in this piece of property here with the structure sitting on it. Any questions?
Councilman Shade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Julia, we're just quit claiming something we really don't have an ownership in.
Absolutely.
We're just helping the property owners be able to go the next step and get this cleared up in their interest. Okay.
That's correct.
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Mr. Mayor.
Julia, going back to the plat that shows the blue versus
This
one more. Yeah, that one.
Mm-hmm.
Is that blue area a separate TMS number than the 822, or is it all one TMS number?
I believe it's all in one TMS number.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but somehow in the surveying, it just got cut out.
And you mentioned that somehow we were in the chain of title for the back portion of it.
This yellow piece right here.
Oh, just the yellow piece, not any of the blue part.
The blue part right here, yeah, that's where the house is sitting in the driveway. We are not
Yeah.
legally in title.
So at one point, this was 2 lots?
That's what I was trying to ask.
It seems to me like this has always just been historically incorporated into 150, but the surveying marks on the property have never matched it. I'm not really sure. It's a bit of a mystery.
It looks like before the railroad ever came through that there was separate lots that faced Front Street or Raunt Street or whatever that street
Right here,
is.
yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, they even have separate numbers there on them that face the other street. But when you say we were in the chain of title for part and not the other part, and there was never a separate TMS number, was it just by the meets and bounds, by the measurements that we were in the chain of title?
I believe so. That's how both Kevin Everly and whoever, Mr. McFarland, the lawyer for Bubsy, has described it.
Gotcha. All right. I'm fine with it. I was just curious as to make sure we didn't have some more definitive ownership in it before saying goodbye.
Understood.
Yep.
That's why I hired Kevin. He's one of the best.
Good.
If he could discover that mystery, if he couldn't, no one can.
Okay, gotcha.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
and I see that Councilmember Waring's on now. And I understand that Councilmember Waring is recusing himself from any discussion on this. I think he has some interest ownership in this. So
Thank you, Councilman Shea. That's what I took my microphone off to officially abstain from this. I do have a direct interest in this one. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Councilmember Waring.
Matter of fact, Madam Clerk, how do you, I know we usually sign a piece of paper at council, but on Zoom, how do we do that when you recuse yourself?
I would have to check with Jennifer and I will get her to reach back out to you about that. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, thank you. And with that, that's the end of my comments on this one. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you. I'm glad we got that noted for the record. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. The ayes have it. On to item C, and Councilman Waring, we'll welcome you back. This is an authorization for the mayor to execute on behalf of the city a utility easement, and this is in connection to certain upgrades near the Charleston Marina. And Ms. Copeland, I see you've got all kinds of colorful lines on the screen. Take it away.
Thank you, Chairman. So yes, this is a map showing, here's the variety store, the little office, the marina and the water's in this direction here. There's the rice mill building. So if you look here, these squares, these are new transformer boxes, new light posts, new transformer, new switch gear. They're basically upgrading all the hardware and the transformers that are currently in the parking lot of the marina. So that's what this utility easement is for.
Move for approval.
Moved and properly
I'll second it.
seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor,
Whoa,
please.
whoa,
signify-
whoa, whoa.
Oh, Mayor, sorry, please.
I did want to ask, Julia, is all that colorful stuff new, or some of it's just replacing existing switch gears and transformers, or?
No, none of it's new. It's just replacing old hardware and transformers. I did ask if any undergrounding was going to be taking place in any of this, and I believe the answer was no. This is just replacing what's already in there.
Uh-huh.
That's buried PVC conduit 48 inches deep.
Where are you looking?
On the notes on the drawings.
If there is something currently underground, it's just being repaired or replaced or not touched at all. But my understanding was there's no new undergrounding taking place.
Okay.
I can certainly confirm that for you by tomorrow night if you need.
No new undergrounding.
Correct.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I think some of it's underground already.
Right.
And it serves the yacht club as well?
I believe so.
Yeah, I see
Yeah,
it.
you can see the yacht club right here.
All right.
Call for the vote, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I don't know how, it might not be the best place to underground stuff. It might be a little wet over there.
Might
But
be able to do that, yeah.
I'm no engineer, certainly not an electrical engineer. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Item D is another matter pertaining to the marina. This is authorization to allow SMH Charleston City Marina LLC to appeal tax year 2022 valuations. And this is property owned by the city of Charleston. Ms. Copeland, please take it away.
Sure. Okay. So this, the current tenant of this particular area is the marina parcel, of course, and the docks. And currently our tenant is SHM, Charleston City Marina. We have a long-term lease with them. They have an extension period all the way to 2046. And this lease has been in place since, I believe, 2016. So apparently in 2020 and 2021, the county reassessed the property pretty significantly from 5 million to 26 million, as you can see. And
That's an understatement, Ms. Copeland.
boy, that'll wake you up, right?
Yeah.
So the tenant who is responsible for the property taxes, naturally was concerned. So they are asking for permission from the city, who is presently the landowner, and who has the authority to appeal these to the county for permission through an MOU and a power of attorney. And as you can see in the MOU here, they're going to be responsible for all the fees and costs associated with it. We have an indemnity provision in here. And of course, an appeal to the county is not always guaranteed, but just for the record, historically, we had a similar situation in the Isle of Palms with their marina, where the county just decided to start doing land value versus retail value. And we went through a pretty long appeal with that one, and I believe we were successful on that one. So this is not something new. And I think we're also appealing a county decision on an assessment of the West Edge Garage as well, just so you all know. So this is not new territory for us. I do believe I've got Robbie Freeman and maybe David Isom on the line, who work for the tenant, who can answer any questions for you all. If you have any questions about the history of the lease, or where they're coming from, if you have any follow-up questions with them. But we would recommend approval.
All right, Councilman Shade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Two questions, Ms. Copeland. This MOU is not saying that we are advocating or taking a position on the tenant's appealability of this. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
That the burden falls on them squarely, that they have to carry the ball forward if they're going to be successful.
Correct.
Is there anything in the lease, by the way, that I hate to say it requires us, but holds the city to cooperate with the tenant on these kind of matters? I mean, I have seen some lease agreements over the years in which if there's like a triple net lease, essentially is what this is. That would require the city to cooperate with the tenant if there's an issue along these lines, something similar to this.
I don't know that answer off the top of my head. Mr. Freeman, Mr. Isom, do you happen to know that by any chance?
Councilman Shade, I don't know of any. This lease was done back in the early 90s. So there's not much in the lease about property taxes other than we have to pay them. And we have historically appealed them over the years. And the reason we're asking for your permission today is the county has changed their policy now, and that since we're not the landowner, we have to get the landowner's permission to do the appeal. But we've done this during the lease a number of times.
Listen, it's to, I hate to say this to you, Robbie, but it's to the city's advantage if you pay more in taxes because we get a bigger share out of that, obviously. But yeah, it seems like we have an equity obligation to you guys, to be fair, to give you the opportunity to have this reviewed. So, I mean, out of a sense of fairness, this is just the right thing to do, obviously.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Councilman Shade, to your point, there's law in South Carolina that says that in every contract there's an implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, and
yeah,
here our tenant simply needs us to sign a piece of paper giving them permission to appeal the valuation. They still have to do it, make the case for it. We don't have any obligation to participate in that or fund that. We're simply giving them the opportunity to avail themselves of their rights, and I certainly think it's a reasonable request under the circumstances, and especially considering the long-standing relationship that we have with the marina.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, and I'm in favor of giving y'all permission, but go back to the document for a second, Julia.
Oh, Mayor, you would ask me to do that. I'm sorry. Hold on.
So I was just curious, Robbie, is there was a big jump in the gross value, but also in the what do they call it? Not the net value, but the I'll find it here.
What, the assessed value?
did it have anything to do with a change of interest? You know, when there's a transfer of interest in the lease, did that have anything to do with it? Do you know?
Yeah, that's what triggered the reassessment.
Okay,
When Safe Harbor, the lease was assigned to Safe Harbor, that ultimately triggered the reassessment.
the cap value is what I was thinking of, because it looks like it went from 5,000,008 to 19,500. That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. Now, I ordered also on the other parcel, I'm just seeing what do they call the dock parcel? Is that that's a separate TMS number, or is that for your equipment out there?
Yeah, it's a separate TMS number. And historically, most of the stuff on the water goes under personal property, depreciable assets, as opposed to real property. So, and that's actually been the basis of the prior appeals that we've had with them is we sitting down with them and going over what's real and what's personal property.
I see. So you're also gonna appeal the value of the dock parcel, even though the increase there was pretty marginal.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if we're actually going to appeal that one, but I think if it gets sucked into this other appeal, we just didn't want to have to come back to y'all on that one.
I see. That makes sense.
Part of our appeal process is enlightening the county on the difference between the parcels, but also, you know, there's 4 other lease entities here in this complex with the rice mill and the yacht club and the variety store and 3 Lockwood. So we've got to educate them on all the different parcels.
Understood. All right. Thank you for clarifying that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and Mayor, if I could go back for a minute, the previous item y'all asked about the underground utilities.
Yes, sir.
I think I can answer those questions that were raised. Some of those utilities are currently underground. There are some new ones that are going underground, and it's all driven by trying to get the power upgraded and more reliable. Dominion likes a loop feed, and we've got 2 loops through the marina, and this program is gonna make 1 big loop, and it just greatly increases the reliability if you have a failure in any of the feeders. So there is some new underground in there, but a lot of that is also existing underground.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Shade.
Robbie, I have another question for you.
Sure.
Do you know why the county has gone to this huge jump on the assessment from 5 million to 26 million on the marina parcel? What has generated that? And the follow-up question is this going to have a snowball impact on residential private ownership values as well as what you see?
Yeah, Councilman Shade, I think we'll figure that out when we get into the appeal with them. All I can assume is, you know, they had that huge transaction with the Ports Authority property a few years ago, the old Ports Authority office building. And I think when this thing transferred and it triggered a reassessment, they just looked at this like it was a big unencumbered piece of waterfront property that, you know, somebody could come in here and build a big hotel or something.
Yeah.
And that's all I can guess. We're not even in the accommodations district, and there's a lot of encumbrances on this property. So
I'm just concerned, quite frankly. I mean, I didn't think about this until we got into this discussion of the number of our private residents who have docks, how this may snowball into impacting them as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of property on James Island, Councilmember Appel, Councilmember Parker, and Daniel Island, Councilmember Gregg. That may be, well, that's in Berkeley County. It'd be a different animal, perhaps. But certainly there would be some of a domino effect this could have on their property as well. I not to say that I hope this happens to you, Mr. Freeman, Robbie, but I hope that part of this is based on a commercial versus a residential factor on this, and not the other way around. But good luck with it, and thanks for bringing it to our attention.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We wish you good luck.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, good deal. I think that was a very informative exchange. Any further questions or discussion? I believe
Yeah,
we've got-
I do have one. Mr. Freeman, how you doing?
I'm good, Councilman.
When you all appeal in the past, how successful your track record was? I'm just curious.
It was good. We always had some adjustments, and it was in some of those cases, it was a situation where they were double taxing us. We had floating docks on our personal property schedule, and they had also counted that as real property. So it's always just a case of sitting down with them and enlightening them. And unfortunately, the way they work over there at the county now, you have to go through this appeal process to get to the table with them.
Yeah, I understand. Well, your institutional knowledge will be invaluable on that one. Like I say, like the mayor said, good luck to you on that.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? I think we've heard from almost everybody. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The ayes have it. Thank y'all from the marina. Best luck.
Thank you.
All right. Item E, this is an approval of an agreement to buy and sell real estate. And this is property over in West Ashley, 1819 Wallace Lane, 29407. And I believe, who do we have from staff to?
Chairman, it's going to be me, Matt.
Oh, Matt, please go ahead.
Yes, so this is requesting approval to move forward with an acquisition to acquire 1819 Wallace Lane. This is approximately 1.247 acres. As you can see on your screen, it is a TMS ending in 021, kind of highlighted in orange there. The purpose of this acquisition is for the future replacement of Fire Station 16 on Ashley Hall Plantation. Parcel is about half a mile away of the current fire station. We're looking at 90 days due diligence. Purchase price is $415,000.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Does anybody have any questions for Matt?
Yeah, I do. Matt, on this one, do we know anything about where the infrastructure is? Like water, sewage, that kind of thing?
I do not off the top of my head. I know we've already had an overlay of the Beast Ferry fire station, Beast Landing fire station. So we know what will fit here.
Right.
But as far as the infrastructure itself, I mean, as you can see, TMS 020, there is a house there. So we know there are services.
Oh, I'm very familiar with the site and the location. And what about the piece, if a fire station can go here, I think is a good site. But when it comes out to intersection, being able to get, there's an intersection just off of the picture here to the right. It's I don't know, is that Paul Cantrell Boulevard in 61 or Tobias Gatson in 61? But there's already an intersection just below where you magic of computing.
Yes, sir. So here's a parcel in question. And you have obviously.
So if you look at Tobias Gatson Boulevard where it intersects with Ashley River Road, there's an intersection there. Okay. Obviously it'd be nice to have a fire station where you can control the lights, the red lights. There's an intersection here, and then there's an intersection, I guess, going further north where you turn in to go to Ashley Hall Plantation Road. I'm wondering about the ability, correct, right? Where you got the little X mark right there. So I'm wondering about the ability to be able to get another intersection at Richmond Road where this site will intersect and Ashley River Road. Because I got to tell you, coming out there, making a left turn is a beast. Actually, coming out there and making a turn during certain times is a beast. So, is that part of the contingency to find out whether we can get signalization at that intersection of Richmond and Ashley River Road?
So we have not approached that issue yet, Councilmember Waring. I know there has been discussion about there being developments across the street here.
Right.
I suspect when that happens, it will be very interesting. Obviously, you know, with SCDOT, there's always a distance between traffic.
That was my concern. I mean,
Yeah.
I think as far as the size of the site and the site being not in a flood zone and all that kind of good stuff, it certainly makes the bill. I actually think the price isn't that bad. The problem is, I've seen, if you go further down 61, and I'm not asking you to find that, but when you get to 61 and Sam Rittenberg, St. Andrews has a fire station there. And every time they come out there, man, it's kind of tenuous. They have to kind of wait until people respect their, you know, their red lights coming out there, making a left turn, getting to 61. And it won't be, you know, you have something similar here. As a matter of fact, if you go back to the intersection of Tobias Gatson and Ashley River Road, I guess that would be the northeast corner, I guess, of that intersection. There's an out parcel there. Now that property is a little bit lower than the site we're looking at, but and maybe it's a little larger than the site we're looking at. But the key thing here is, can we get signalization at that intersection? So when they do have a fire, you know, they can put everything on red and then stop the traffic and hopefully, you know, get to where they need to be as expeditiously as possible. So. But is that part of the contingency? Do we have contingencies on this?
We do have a due diligence period, and that is obviously something we would look into as a part of this.
Oh, okay.
All right, I think I saw Councilman Shade's hand go up, and I see Councilman Gregg wants to address this item as well. So
Yeah,
y'all
go back
please.
to that other screen before. I have two questions. What is the naked male butlers Charleston on the upper top corner?
I have no idea.
Just
Wow.
Look that up.
I didn't
Wow.
even notice that, but
I am not going to click on that with my city computer.
Okay. And if you can go back to the other screen, Matt, one more time. I'm sorry, I could not let that pass. I was looking at that going, what in the world is that? This may be to Councilmember Waring's question along the same lines, Matt, but that other parcel that's identified as 020, that corner lot, is that, I don't know if that was part of the contingency question Councilmember Waring was asking, but is there any opportunity to purchase that lot as well?
So we do know, so as you can see right here at the line, there is currently an encroachment of that home onto this property we're looking to acquire. So just so you know, this home is in very poor condition. There's no one living there. It's probably a tear down. The current property owner has reached out to this property owner and has not had any success asking about acquiring it. But we are aware of this encroachment. We know that we can fit a 2-bay fire station on here, even with the encroachment. It could adjust the property line. But we would like to potentially, if we acquire this property, have conversations with this property owner about acquiring the property on the corner as well, potentially. One, just because it's going to give easier access to Richmond Street as an option. But it would also give us the flexibility to put a 3-bay station here if we so needed.
And also you're going to get rid of an eyesore on top of that as well. So, and even if we don't use it for fire department uses, there may be other city uses that we could use out there as well. And so I would just encourage, if we can lock in that whole block, Matt, that would be a huge advantage for the city for a lot of reasons.
Absolutely.
And mainly to get access to Richmond Street for ingress egress as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Councilman Shade. Councilman Gregg, did you have a comment, question?
Nope. Councilman Shade addressed it. Thank you.
All right, I see Councilman Waring has his hand up.
Yeah, I agree with Councilman Shayed in that we still should lock it in, because I do think, if not this, I think the city certainly can use it for something else. Is this property, I thought I saw it, zone commercial? Matt, do you know the zoning on it?
I'm trying to remember. I know the property owner was working with the county about getting it rezoned. I believe, you know, I need to look into that, Councilman Waring. I'm not 100% certain what the zoning is.
I mean, as a rookie, I looked it up and it just said vacant commercial. I thought it said on the county property record card when I looked it up. But no, listen. If not this, I really do believe the city can use it for another use. I don't think the price is, that bad, especially if it's on commercial. But I can tell you, if we can get the right to put a signal there such that when, the firemen have to go out on emergencies, be able to stop traffic there. But I think that would be key for a fire station. Let's put it like that. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Someone please remind me, do we have a motion and a second on the floor? Or do we need to?
I don't think we have a motion yet.
So moved.
All right, we've got a motion
Approval.
properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Item F, this is an authorization for the mayor to execute a permanent right-of-way and utility easement, and this is in connection with 176 Lockwood in the College of Charleston. I think, is this a Julia item?
Yeah, this is me. Sorry, I was unable to unmute my mic while I was screen sharing for some reason. Okay, here we go. Some of you in Public Works may remember this one from last time. So we're talking about 176 Lockwood right here. That's that College of Charleston building. And what they are asking for presently is there's a cistern somewhere around here and there's sewers running into the cistern and they're having some problems with the structural integrity of that particular setup. So what they would like to do is run a pipe under this and connect to our existing sewer line. And I'm going to pull that up. You see this here, the plat showing the drawing? You guys can see that, can't you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Just making sure. So I do have the engineers, I hope, on the line. I did send them the Zoom link as well. But I think during Public Works, the question came up from the mayor, and rightfully so, is this easement going to in any way prohibit or hinder any future build in case the city ever wants to put a new police department building right here on 180 Lockwood? And so this is the response we got back from the engineers. And Jeff, are you on, or who, is there anyone on from ADC here?
Yes, Julia, this is Jeff Webb.
Okay. Jeff, I've got your drawing up here. If you want to talk through this and explain to them what you're trying to say here, that would be helpful if this is your, if these are your notes.
I'm sorry, I'm on the phone only.
Oh, okay.
But the I believe there were some comments back from would it have been Matt Fountain or someone regarding there's an existing drainage easement along the south boundary of the police station site.
Correct.
And so I think there was some commentary about that, and that's of course an existing easement. This proposed easement is a 15-foot wide that does occupy some of the same spaces as that easement, and so you wouldn't be able to build to that line already, and then my other comment would be, and I don't know if it's on, I apologize for not being on the computer, but that you can't get that, or the only thing it would preclude is if you were going to build almost all the way up to the existing structure at 99 West Edge, the back of the garage building. So that would be the encumbrance right there. but it's a pretty small area, and it's closer to that existing building, of course.
There you go. So to answer your question, Mayor, this should not hinder our ability to put any future building on this footprint. However, just for safe measure, I inserted into the current easement document a provision that if that ever comes up and these lines have to be moved to accommodate a footprint, that the college will accommodate and cover the cost of moving their own line. So we're working on it now.
Great. Well, thank you all for taking the extra time to look at that and figure it out. And yes, I guess I called Lee Batchelder the day after our meeting. We discussed this, and he said we had to stay 20 feet off of that parking garage anyway.
Yeah. So
I guess this goes a little further than the 20 feet, is what he's saying, that pink shaded area.
Correct.
Yeah, but I get it. It's tight, and that's where cars would be coming in and out of the garage anyway. So it's probably all going to work out fine. But thank you for putting that caveat in there, just in case we need to redo it down the road.
So that's all I have for you, unless you have any other questions.
I move for approval.
Second.
All right, moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I do have one. Mr. Mayor, one of the things you brought up the last time I thought was, can we go back to that drawing?
Sure.
Was a possible, I don't know, through this Gaston Creek deal, a possible walkway or walking path, maybe coming through this potentially in the future, getting from Haggett Street to the Brittle Bank.
Right, and I went out and walked it myself after our last meeting, and honestly, the other side of the property, there's already a sidewalk, a portion of the way already is between the college and the Marriott.
Right.
Side, and it's more central to the middle of the block. So to be honest with you, I think the other side of the property is better for the sidewalk.
Good deal. Enough said. Okay.
All right. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. The ayes have it. Now on to the annexation portion of our program. We got 3 annexations up. One is over on
I move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
moved and properly seconded. And does staff want to, I see Bob.
I'll move approval on 9, I guess. Is that 1, 2, 3 or?
Yep, we got 3 annexations, one in
All right.
West Ashley, 2 in West Ashley, 1 on Johns Island.
Yes, that's correct. One is the 222 Island Drive is single family residential. The Maybank address from Johns Island is actually a purchase of the city. And then the other property is a fabric business.
Good deal. Yeah, I think
And
the
roughly-
one on Johns Island is the park we
Yes,
were
the
talking
Griffith annexation with Mr. Griffith over there. And it's
Right.
yep.
I don't see anything in District 9.
Don't worry. We all take a turn. You'll see next time.
I don't take turns, Molly. I want it all.
There you go.
I'll see what I can do next time. Just remember that.
Okay. I
Good
expect
deal.
at least 3 in District 9.
Oh,
Thanks for the
boy.
sake.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The ayes have it for items G1, G2, and G3. Next up, item H. This is a authorization for the mayor to execute a deed of modification and release of prior deed. And this is regarding 334 Calhoun Street. And this is also identified as an executive session item if needed. So maybe we ought to have staff kind of give us a very 10,000 foot view of this, and then council can make a decision whether to enter into executive session for legal advice on this contractual matter if necessary.
Hold on a second. Goodness gracious. I will get this right eventually, y'all. You know, it only took 3 years. There we go. Okay, here's the county GIS map. This is the parcel that we're talking about right here. It's 334 Calhoun. Okay, so the county has asked that we sign a deed modification. And the history on this is in 1967. Prior to 1967, the state deeded this giant swath of property to us. And under portions of this property, there were certain restrictions, right? That the property could only be used solely for medical purposes. In 67, we transferred this particular piece to the county without said restrictions on the deed. So for some unknown reason, back in 2001, the city unilaterally adopted a modified deed, placing the restrictions back on the property. The county has taken the position that this should not have been done unilaterally. It should have been done jointly. We tend to agree with this position. So they're asking for this deed modification to essentially revert back to the 1967 deed and the language that is in that particular deed. One thing I will note is the particular provision that is creating some consternation in that 2001 deed is the placement of those deed restrictions back, requiring that it be used solely for medical purposes. So just so you know, this particular parcel was recently included in the medical overlay district. I believe it was in February or March of 2022. By being now in the medical overlay district, this property is still going to be restricted to medical use purposes if the builder is trying to go for a certain number of stories. So this is why we are advocating and recommending to council to adopt or authorize the mayor to sign this corrective deed.
So move.
Second.
All right, moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sounds like the ayes have it. Thank you, Ms. Copeland. Finally, we have an executive session item for the discussion of real property acquisition. So I will entertain a motion to go into executive session to receive legal advice.
So move.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify